Red lights flashed across the steel walls. Screams echoed through the Terran embassy. A single plasma shot still hung in the air like it had frozen time. Sheloran stood still, her hand trembling, the weapon falling from her grip. At her feet lay a Terran officer dead, his uniform still smoking. His eyes wide open. She hadn't meant to shoot. She only wanted to scare him. He had shouted, reached for his belt, maybe a weapon, maybe not. She acted on instinct. Now everything was ruined. The embassy guards burst through the door. Sheloran didn't wait. Her legs moved before her mind did. She ran. In minutes, her face was on every screen. Alien fugitive. Armed and dangerous. Killed a Terran official. The headlines didn't ask why. No one wanted the truth. Not from someone like her. Sheloran found herself lost in a city that once welcomed her. Now every camera watched, every drone hunted. And somewhere deep within the Republic, a hidden voice whispered, she must not be allowed to speak. Whatever had just started. It was much bigger than a single mistake. Sheloran didn't sleep that night. The rain hit her skin like small needles as she crouched behind a trash unit in the alley. Her cloak was torn. Her translator chip flickered. And still, she didn't cry. Not anymore. The Terran Republic had activated a full lockdown. Drones flew overhead, scanning the streets. She heard the voice from loudspeakers. Fugitive alien suspect is considered hostile. Citizens must report sightings immediately. She stayed low. The light from the drones burned white circles across the cracked ground as they searched. The city that once admired her as a peace envoy now treated her like a monster. Sheloran tried to reach out to her own people, but her signal was blocked. Her name had been deleted from the station logs. No shuttle would pick her up. No one was coming. Her last option was the underground tunnels, old transport routes from before the war. She knew the stories. Criminals, ex-soldiers, mad scavengers lived down there. But she had no choice. Hours later, half-starved and injured, she collapsed behind a broken service pipe. That's when a figure appeared through the shadows, tall, armored, with a gun. He stood over her, silent. Sheloran braced for death, but the man didn't shoot. Instead, he knelt down and muttered, "You really don't know what they've done to you, do you?" His name was Jax, a ghost from a forgotten war. And he wasn't there to kill her. He was there to keep her alive. Jax's grip was rough, but his eyes held no hate, just caution, and something else. Maybe regret. He dragged Sheloran through twisting tunnels, deeper underground than she thought. The city even went. They passed rusted doors, flickering lights, and forgotten war tech sealed behind cracked walls. No one followed them. Down here, even the drones feared to go. He finally brought her into a small room, bare metal, old Terran armor hanging on one wall. This was once a supply station. Now it was Jax's bunker. She collapsed onto the floor. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Then Jax said, "They're not hunting you because you killed that officer." Sheloran blinked. "Then why?" Jax turned, eyes cold. "Because you saw something. Something you weren't supposed to." He showed her a file hidden in a black box he pulled from a crushed Republic drone. It was encrypted, but the pieces were enough. A recording, images, words. Sheloran saw herself standing near the diplomat. Behind them, out the window, a colony burned. Her people's colony. The Republic ship that wasn't there had fired first. It was never about peace. "That officer you shot?" Jax said quietly. "He wasn't just security. He was there too. Silence you." Everything made sense now. They didn't want her arrested. They wanted her gone. Buried, forgotten. And the worst part? The plan had almost worked, but now she had something they feared even more than her. Death, the truth. Jax sat across from Sheloran, sharpening a blade that looked far too old to still be useful. But his hands were steady, like he'd done it 1,000 times. His voice was low. That file? It's only a fragment. But it proves one thing. The Terran Republic tested a weapon on your colony. And they needed everyone who saw it. Gone. Sheloran stared at the broken datapad. The images inside it showed her homeworld, peaceful. Then bright light, smoke, a flash of unknown tech. Hundreds dead. And the Terran ship above? Not listed. In any records. This is a war crime, she whispered. J. Aches nodded. And you're the only one who still remembers it. Suddenly, the bunker lights blinked. A red signal pulsed through the walls. Motion above, Jack said quickly. They found us. Sheloran grabbed the pad and followed him into a lower corridor. Old maps flashed across ancient screens as Jax opened a hidden path. Down here, quick. This tunnel leads outside the city limits. But after this, there's no turning back. Sheloran paused. Going forward meant becoming the enemy in the eyes of the galaxy. It meant losing her name, her history, everything. But if she ran now, no one would ever know the truth. She looked back at the flickering light above them, then stepped into the dark. They weren't just hunting her anymore. They were hunting the truth she carried, and she was going to make sure it burned its way. Across the stars, outside the city, the land was quiet. Too quiet. Sheloran and Jax took shelter in an old freight depot covered in rust and vines. They patched up wounds, ate cold ration bars, and reviewed what little remained of the Terran war. Files. Every plan led to the same end. If they wanted to expose the truth, they have to reach the core tower, the heart of Terran. Communication. But the Republic wasn't sitting still. A new threat was on their trail now. Bounty hunters. Not just anyone-Kordak. His name was whispered across star systems. Half human, half alien hybrid. Built in secret labs during the border wars. A tracker. A killer. And once you were marked by Kordak, you didn't survive long. Jack sensed him first. We need to move now. Too late. The depot's roof exploded as a massive form dropped through. Metal armor, glowing red eyes, and a weapon fused into his arm. Kordak didn't speak. He didn't need to. Jax fired. Sheloran ran. The battle was chaos. Explosions tore through the building. Pipes burst. Steel screamed. Sheloran dove behind crates, clutching the data unit to her chest. She heard Jax cry out. She didn't look back. She ran through fire and smoke, climbed through broken walls, until she saw the sky again. Behind her, the depot collapsed in flames. But Kordak's body was nowhere to be seen. J. Aches was hurt bad. But alive. As Sheloran helped him up, one thought echoed through her mind. If Kordak was here, more would come. The Republic wanted her silenced. Now, they had sent their deadliest creation to do it. Sheloran and Jax slipped through forgotten tunnels, their footsteps echoing softly on cracked concrete. The city above was dangerous, but down here, in the depths, things were worse. The underground was a maze of outcasts, rebels, and spies. Jax led her to a hidden room where faces lit by flickering holograms turned toward them. Rough men and women, battle-scarred and wary, all stopped to stare at Sheloran. We don't trust aliens here, a grizzled woman growled, especially ones wanted by the Republic. Sheloran swallowed hard but held her ground. Then Jax spoke. Look at this. He threw the data files onto the table. The room fell silent as images of burning colonies and secret weapons flashed on the screen. Whispers turned into questions. The rebels hadn't known the Republic's true plans. A tall hacker, eyes sharp and calculating, leaned forward. If this is real, it changes everything. Sheloran's voice was steady. They want to erase my people. And anyone who knows the truth. The leader, a man with a jagged scar across his face, nodded slowly. Then we fight. But this isn't just your war anymore. For the first time since her flight began, Sheloran felt a spark hope. But deep in the shadows, An enemy watched. Their secret was close to being uncovered. And the Republic's grip was tightening. Sheloran stood at the edge of the rebel base, staring up at the towering core tower that loomed over the city like a silent judge. This was the heart of the Terran Republic, their control center for all communication, news, and secrets. If we don't reach the core, no one will ever hear the truth, Jock said, handing her a small weapon and a datapad loaded with plans. Rebel team assembled quietly, tension thick in the air. They knew this mission was almost a suicide run. The tower's security was tight: drones, guards, lethal traps everywhere, but Sheloran's mind was set. She wasn't just fighting for herself anymore. She was fighting for her people, for justice. As they slipped into the shadows and began the climb, every step brought them closer to either victory or death. The walls hummed with power. Cameras scanned the halls. Somewhere inside, the truth waited, locked tight behind steel and lies. And Sheloran was ready to break it open. The core tower gleamed cold against the night sky as Sheloran and her team moved through its shadowed halls. Every step was silent, every breath measured. The mission was clear: access the central archives and expose the Republic's darkest secret. But trust was a fragile thing. As they reached the security vault, alarms blared. A sudden burst of gunfire rang out. Betrayed! Jock shouted, clutching his side, blood spreading quickly. Sheloran's heart pounded as friends fell one by one. The traitor revealed themselves, a trusted member of their squad, working for the Republic all along. Trapped and outnumbered, Sheloran fled deeper into the tower. Alone now, and with only seconds to act, her fingers flew over the console, bypassing firewalls, uploading the hidden files to every broadcast channel across Terra Prime. Outside, the city's giant screens flickered, then exploded with forbidden truth. As soldiers closed in, Sheloran prepared to fight till her last breath, because the whole galaxy needed to see the truth. Sheloran's hands shook as she connected the stolen data unit to the core tower's master console. Sirens screamed around her. Footsteps echoed closer every second. The Republic's elite guards were almost at the door. "Come on," she whispered. "Just a few more seconds." The screen flickered, then flashed green. Upload in progress. Behind her, the blast door buckled. Sparks flew. Soldiers shouted. And then across the city, every screen came alive. Billboards, holopads, classroom walls, news towers. They all lit up with the Republic's hidden truth. The footage showed it all: the burning colony, the illegal weapon test, the silent massacre of Sheloran's people, and the orders signed by top Terran officials to bury the evidence. The world froze. Then it exploded. Protests erupted in the streets. Terran citizens, stunned and furious, demanded answers. Military bases shut down. Allies across the stars sent calls of concern. Sheloran turned from the console just as the door burst open. A soldier raised his weapon, but then he lowered it. He had seen the broadcast too. And in that moment, Sheloran knew the Republic's lies were dead, and her voice, once hunted, was now louder than their silence. The core tower burned behind her, its great walls blackened with smoke. Sheloran stood beside Jocks on the edge of the protest lines. Thousands filled the streets, humans and aliens both holding signs, shouting her name, demanding justice. But she didn't feel like a hero. She felt tired. Jax leaned on a crutch, his injuries slowing him down, but not stopping him. "You did it," he said. "They can't erase you now." News feeds across the system called her a whistleblower, a truth bringer, the alien girl who stood against an empire. But she didn't stay to celebrate. While the Republic scrambled to respond and investigations began, Sheloran quietly slipped away onto a ship headed toward deep space. Her people needed her. Others across the stars were still being silenced. And now they had someone willing to fight for them. Sheloran wasn't just a fugitive. Anymore, she was a symbol, a spark, a warning. And somewhere out there, the next battle waited, but this time she would. Be ready, because Sheloran's name would never be buried again.